I remember quitting like it was just yesterday. It's been a little over 5 months now, and I was so scared. I remember I was Zooming with my bosses, and I was like, before I really even said anything, and they were like, what's wrong? And I was like, I think I have to quit. And they were like, oh, that's it? Yeah, you should have quit a long time ago. And that was when do you have to do that like right now? Sorry. Today we're going to be talking about quitting your job and things you should consider whenever you want to do that. But before we get too far into the video, I just wanted to say thank you to today's sponsor, Morning Brew. But a little bit more on them later. So unfortunately, this is not going to be a, hey, you should quit your job video. Not necessarily anyway. I think I have a little bit of skin in the game, like I have something to say here because it's been 5 or 6 months since I've been self-employed, and honestly, it's the best decision that I've ever made. I will say that my wife and I walked away from our salaries, which total was $185,000 a year that we were making before we took that giant leap of faith of this crazy world of being your own boss and paying yourself and all that good stuff. It's been about 5 or 6 months, and I've had a little bit of time to digest and really formalize my thoughts around quitting your job and when you should do it and all that good stuff. So for me, there were a couple of catalysts that really pushed me into this direction. In about a week's time, I spoke to 3 or 4 people that were YouTubers or entrepreneurs or millionaires, just kind of a little bit of everything. And they all asked me the question, why do you still work? I watch your YouTube videos. I know how much you make on YouTube. I know how much you make on Airbnb. I don't understand why you're still working a 9-to-5 job. You should focus on all of your side hustles, because if you focus all your time there, you could probably double or triple your income. And really, it was the first time that people would just point blank ask me that question, but it happened so many times that week, and it really unlocked the idea for me that if I just got 40 hours back in my week, I could devote those to all my other businesses and make a lot more money, which is effectively what's happened. I mean, I've actually 10x'd my salary since quitting my job, and it hasn't even been a full year yet. Let's just talk about the social impact of quitting your 9-to-5 job really fast. Again, quitting your 9-to-5 really does seem like a glamorous thing, and honestly, I mean, it is. Like, I really love the lifestyle that I have.
I'm rich.
But one of the really big changes whenever you become self-employed is that you just don't have that daily interaction with your coworkers. I happen to really like my coworkers that I've worked with, and I miss them, and I miss those relationships, and I miss FaceTiming and Zooming and all that kind of stuff with them daily, and just having other people to interact with. Being out here in the mountains on 50 acres, secluded and 30 minutes away from the nearest location, just not really a type of place where I'm gonna make a lot of friends. I have my wife, I have my business partner who also lives here, and I have my kids, so we all converse with each other. I just really miss that face-to-face interaction that I got from working a 9-to-5 job. So if you're a social person at all, like myself, and you really rely on other people to fuel you, and human contact is important, how does that come off? Does that come off as like them touching me or like interacting? I mean interacting. If human interaction is important, then quitting your 9-to-5 might be a little tough on you. It's a little tough on me from a mental health perspective to just not have like other people to converse with and talk about movies with and talk about TV shows and all that kind of stuff. Speaking of TV shows, have any of you seen the season 2 finale of Dave? It was so good.
I say this with the utmost sincerity. I am the next Kanye West.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. I have no one to talk about that with, and it drives me crazy. Another really big thing to consider whenever you want to quit your 9-to-5 is just the structural impact that it's going to have on your routine. Like when you work a job and you have to check in at a certain time and you have lunch at a certain time and you have deadlines and you just have an organizational structure and a boss to report to and counterparts, like that's really important for how you allot your time, how you plan out your days. I remember when I used to go into the office, I had a whole morning routine, and now that I don't do that, my whole morning routine is out of whack these days. Which actually brings me to today's sponsor, Morning Brew. Legitimately, Morning Brew has been really great for just helping me keep my sanity in the morning and just giving me some semblance of a routine. So Morning Brew is basically a free daily newsletter. It's very in the moment and relevant. It's hot, it's fresh. Whereas traditionally, news is typically just like a little boring. All right, there, I said it, sue me. I really do like starting my day out with Morning Brew versus just mindlessly scrolling through TikTok and Instagram like I have for years. I actually learned stuff, which is cool. Like AMC gained nearly 100% today in the stock market. I should have bought some. Anyway, if you're into business, finance, or tech, then there's really no reason not to sign up for it because it's free and it takes like less than 15 seconds. So if you're interested in signing up for Morning Brew for free, then I'll leave a link down in the description for you. All right, back to the video. Okay, moving on here. One of the other things that I thought would change, or, one of the big impacts to my life was like work-life balance. For some reason, that's so dumb, I thought that quitting my full-time job would mean that I got 40 hours back in my life and that I would have so much more time to enjoy with myself and my family and my kids and all that kind of stuff. Well, that is not how that works. When you are no longer getting paid a consistent paycheck, you really can't like mess around anymore. When I had a job, if I didn't do the job and I did a bad job and all that kind of stuff, I wasn't gonna get fired. I had a pretty good rapport with my company. I knew I could really stretch the limits of being like a good employee versus a bad employee. And so, I just had more flexibility to just live life how I wanted to and all that kind of stuff. But when you aren't getting paid a steady paycheck by an employer and you're the one in charge of how much money you make, there really isn't an opportunity for you to mess around anymore. Like, you have to work. You have to work consistently and you have to just always be on top of your game so that you always have money coming in. I will say that there's an old adage that goes like, entrepreneurs will work 80 hours so they don't have to work 40. That is so true. I think in the height of all of this, of me kind of quitting my job and kicking off my consultation business, which is closed now, and my programs and my YouTube channel and all that stuff, I was probably pulling in pretty close to like 100-hour weeks there, which is just not healthy. It's not a good thing. I'm not proud of it. Like, the grind culture and the hustle culture of like the Gary Vaynerchuk, like, you better hustle. If you don't hustle, if you're not making content 24 hours, you're stupid. You're dead. You're dead to me if you're not working, if you're not hustling. Rate that Gary V impression down below. But I was really engulfed in my work for a very long time, and that's just because so many good things were happening, and I had the total power to amplify those things by putting in more time and more effort. Just in the 5 or 6 months that I've been self-employed, I've at a minimum 10x'd how much I was making for my personal salary. And I saw that and I was recognizing that, and I was working more and more and more on all my different income streams. I was like, okay, this is great. The more I work, the more money that I make. However, I've got a family, I've got a wife, I've got 2 kids, and I've got so many other businesses that really at the end of the day, if you give yourself to everything, then you really have nothing. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I don't really know. Does that make sense? I guess when I say nothing, you have nothing, I mean you have no time. Time is so important. For me, I was so money driven my entire life, and now that I have money, I'm so time driven. It's just one of those things I didn't really understand until now when I actually make money, how important time is. I would always read articles or see things on Shark Tank when the sharks were like, my time is so valuable, blah, 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 and I'd be like, okay, pal, Mr. Cool Guy over here. And now I'm like, I get what Kevin O'Leary was saying. So time to me is by far the most important commodity and resource on this planet, and it's the only thing that $1 million or $1 billion or $1 trillion can't buy you more of. So ultimately, in retrospect, I realized that I may have diverged from the original point of this bullet point. Work-life balance it's not if you're like a true entrepreneur, if you're really working for that paycheck, when you're really getting started and you quit your 9-to-5 job, you may not have it. You may not have a work-life balance. You may be always on, and that's something that I've talked about with my wife a lot, and she's really happy for me that I'm on this journey and that I quit my job and that things are going relatively well. But we do have conversations sometimes where she's like, well, the one thing about you having a job is that when you got home at 5 or at 6, that was it. You never thought about work again. You never talked about it again, because I was really good at turning it off. Whereas now on the flip side, she's like, you're always on at all times. Your wheels are spinning, and that's just part of my personality. I can never shut off. I'm ADHD, and I'm just always obsessing over how to grow my businesses and all that kind of stuff. So just know that if you have a bad work-life balance in your job or in your career, that may not be fixed by quitting your job or your career. And I don't really want this to come off negative. I feel like maybe it is a little bit. This is really just a real Rob talk, an RRT, if you will. I have this platform, and I do talk about being financially free, and I do talk about how much money that I make. And, I just don't want to over glorify quitting your job, and I want that for you. It makes me so happy when I have students or subscribers or anyone who follows me reach out and say hey, I quit my job. I did that through the guidance of your channel. I have an Airbnb business now. And that to me, that makes me so happy. But what I don't necessarily want is for you to just catch all the rainbows and butterflies that I'd be spitting out onto the YouTube world and be like, I'm going to quit my job. Rob did it, so I'm going to quit my job. No, I don't want that at all. I want you to really think through an action plan. And I want you to really think through the ramifications of the crazy beast that is self-employment. So that's why I'm making this video. I do want to be real and transparent about, the struggles of self-employment. But, there's a lot of good stuff too, and we'll save that for another video another time. One of the last things here as we move towards a climax of the video, if you will, is the financial impact that being self-employed. All right, full disclosure, it is 1:43. I'm sure you already are aware that when you're self-employed and you quit your 9-to-5 job, you are no longer being paid consistently. Oh, duh, Rob, we all know that. Yeah, okay. But other things aside from the consistency of getting paid really get complicated, especially if you're a real estate entrepreneur like myself. So you don't get paid consistently, but the other thing is when you do get paid, like me, like I'll have very large chunks of money come in just from different things that I always have working on. I'm like bad at budgeting, and so just having like, you know, the whole like getting paid every 2 weeks thing, like I would rather get paid every 2 weeks versus getting a lump sum in the year. It's just easier for my brain to process and budget for. Whereas if I sell a house or anything like that and I have an influx of cash come in, it's just like, it's tough. It's tough because I have this pressure to like not spend it. It's in my bank account. Do I invest it? What do I save for taxes? And it's just like all this crazy stuff. And like you have to save for your own taxes. And that is just something that is gonna bite me in the this year, like big time. I'm, you know, working on, I do save for taxes, but probably not enough, but maybe, I don't know. Honestly, this is first year where I'm gonna make a sizable amount of cash, and I have no idea what my tax bill is gonna be, and honestly, I lose sleep every single night thinking about it. But aside from all of that, what really gets complicated is buying a house. You cannot buy a house if you're not a W-2 employee, or if you're on a 1099 schedule, like I am now, it has to be on your tax returns for 2 years, and then they take the average of those 2 years, and then that's how they qualify you for a house. And so if you're really just like stepping into self-employment for the first time, and you don't have 2 years of consistent 1099 income, then you just can't buy a house. And that's a tough predicament if you're a real estate investor, builder, house builder, new construction, like anything in the real estate world is very difficult for me now. Imagine having made, I don't know, $1.5 million, and then going to a bank and then a bank saying, yes, you're poor. That's what it feels like to me when I go to a bank and I'm like, hey, I would like to buy this house. Please look at my bank account. And they're like, sorry, we literally don't care.
Clark, this is all you can eat. We only need one plate.
It's like a first world problem, 100%. Let me just go ahead and acknowledge that. But like, you know, I want to buy another house with my wife. Like we talk about it, we want to upsize in LA or somewhere else in the country. And we just like, we can't. Like I almost have to buy a house cash or put down a ridiculous down payment, like 50%, or take an insane interest rate, like 5.5 to 7.5%. So all to say, if you do quit your 9-to-5 job and the side hustle that you're stepping into to create it into a front hustle, if you will, if it does pay you money and it does pay you pretty good money, and let's just say that you quit your job tomorrow and you 10x your income like I did, you're still gonna have so many other things to deal with financially: budgeting, planning, tax prep, and then buying a house, which is gonna be very hard for you for 2 years. So let's wrap this up because it's 1:50 a.m. and your boy is tired. When should you quit your 9-to-5 job? Like, when should you do that? I don't know. I can't answer that for you, but all I can say is have an action plan before you do it. You know, don't just say like, I'm fed up with work and blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna quit my job and I'll figure it out. Don't do that. A lot of the times you might just feel like you have to quit, and you really have to diagnose the problem here. Is it that you hate your job or that you hate your career? And there's a difference here. You can hate your job, but still love what you do. And so maybe you just need to find a new job in the same career at a better place. That's a very possible thing. You could have a toxic work culture, terrible work-life balance, terrible pay. There could be a lot of things about your job that you hate that may make you want to quit and leave your career forever, but maybe it's easily fixed if you find a new job somewhere else where they treat you right. Now, if you're like, no, Rob, I actually hate basket weaving, or, you know, like me, I was in advertising. I didn't hate advertising. Actually, it was my dream career for so long until it wasn't, until I became very good at Airbnb. And I liked my job, and it just wasn't really loving my career as much, you know? And so I was like, okay, time to do what I love. And that was why I ultimately ended up quitting to become a full-time YouTuber and Airbnb guy, whatever, operator, host, builder, unique experience creator. I don't know. I'm so tired, I want to go to sleep. Here's ultimately what I would advise. I don't advise anything. I'm not a financial advisor. Don't take this as advice. Consult a professional that's like good at this kind of stuff. Here is what I would say. This is not advice. Like, start your hustle, like your side hustle, and work at that side hustle for years, and work to the point where that side hustle ideally pays more than you make at your job, because you sort of have to make a little bit more on a 1099 schedule to compensate for like self-employment tax and everything like that. But get your side hustle to the point where you either make more money than you are at your current job, or you'll be able to quickly ramp it up and make a lot more money once you do quit your job and focus on your side hustle. For me, leaving my 9 to 5 wasn't something that happened overnight. My Airbnb portfolio was not something that just happened, right? It was 4 years. I worked my ass off for 4 years. I worked for free. I took on partnerships where I didn't make any money, where I'm barely starting to get paid from those partnerships. And I was grinding and I was putting everything I had into this side hustle of Airbnb and then eventually YouTube. And I put everything I had. And finally it got to the point where I mathed everything out and I said, why am I not growing on YouTube or in real estate or in Airbnb, wherever? Why am I not growing anymore? And I finally realized that my 6-figure job was actually keeping me from making $1 million on all this other stuff. That's so crazy. Like my salary at my job was $110,000, which was, that's like really good money. Like for me, right? At that time. But that was literally holding me back from over $1 million in income. My growth was stunted to like $200,000 or $300,000 is what I was roughly making on these side hustles. And this $100,000 job, as soon as I got rid of it, this $200,000 to $300,000 thing became over $1 million. So what I'm saying is plant those seeds, baby. Water it, do planty thing, gardener things, till the thing, prune your plants. worst metaphor ever. Lay the groundwork for your side hustle. Make it solid. Do it for a couple years. Get it on your taxes for a couple years so that you can use that income to qualify for things and really just like become financially sound in this and get to the point where you literally cannot grow and make more money on your side hustles until you quit your job. And that to me, I think is the time to quit your job. I mean, that's what it was for me. And honestly, it's going to be 100% different for you, and everyone watching right now. This is going to be so different for all of you, but have a plan. With that, I do want to end on a positive note here and say I'm really thankful for this life. And I was saying I was unemployed for a long time, and my friend Tony Robinson said, no man, you're self-employed. And I was like, yeah, I am, aren't I? And I'm like so dang proud of that. And truly, there is no amount of money that my old job could offer me to go back and work a 9 to 5. If my job said, hey Rob, we got this $2 million offer for you, what do you say? Come back and work for us. I would be like, no thanks. I would never do that ever again.
Idiot.
Now, if they offered me $5 million, like I feel it would be irresponsible for me to not take that offer. But barring that I don't get a random $5 million offer from my last agency, I think I'm going to be self-employed for the rest of my life. I would not trade this lifestyle for anything. I've learned so much about myself. I've grown so much as a person in the last 6 months, more than I ever did in my 10 years of advertising, because it's me. I'm running the show. I'm the boss. I'm the manager. I'm the payroll person. I'm the janitor. I'm the receptionist. I'm the window cleaner, the dad, the father, the husband. I'm everything. And I love it. So that's the video. I'm done. I'm going to bed. Thanks again to Morning Brew for sponsoring this video. Really does mean the world to me. And I'll catch y'all on the next episode of Robuilt, which I hope will be recorded at, 2 p.m. next time, not 2 a.m. All right. Good night.